Welcome back to the channel, Rare Coins History Jar, without giving it a second thought. Now imagine if that same coin could secretly be worth a small fortune. That's the kind of fascinating story we're diving into today as we take a closer look at the United States of America Jefferson nickel, the 5-cent coin minted in 2004. At first glance, it may look just like any other nickel you've seen in your change, but as we'll uncover together, certain rare examples of this coin have made collectors stop in their tracks and pay attention, because they can carry an incredible value that goes far beyond their face worth. The Jefferson nickel has been part of American history since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, and it has become one of the longest-running designs in U.S. coinage. Designed originally by Felix Schlag, the coin features the profile of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, on the obverse, and his famous Virginia home, Monticello, on the reverse. Over the decades, the Jefferson nickel has undergone small design changes, but in 2004 something special happened. That year marked the beginning of the Westward Journey series, which commemorated the bicentennial of the Lewis and Clark expedition. For collectors, this made the 2004 nickel stand out, because instead of the classic Monticello reverse, the designs shifted to new symbolic images celebrating exploration and American history. In 2004, two distinct designs were issued: the piece metal reverse and the keelboat reverse. The piece metal design shows a handshake symbolizing the peace and cooperation between Native Americans and the U.S. government during westward exploration, while the keelboat design depicts the vessel used by the Lewis and Clark expedition as they journeyed west. These designs were only struck for a limited time, which instantly set them apart from the everyday nickels people were used to. And this is where things get interesting, because not only are the designs historic, but rare minting errors, unique conditions, and certain mint marks make some of these coins incredibly valuable to collectors today. When we talk about mint marks, we're referring to the small letters found on the coin that indicate where it was minted. For the 2004 Jefferson nickel, the main mint marks you'll encounter are P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and S for San Francisco. The S mint mark coins are usually proof coins intended for collectors, struck with special care and often featuring mirror-like surfaces. While these proofs are collectible, it's the circulation strikes from Denver and Philadelphia that sometimes reveal extraordinary value if they have certain characteristics. So what makes a 2004 Jefferson nickel worth much more than 5 cents? The answer lies in rarity, condition, and errors. Collectors prize coins in pristine, uncirculated condition with sharp details and no signs of wear. When such a coin is graded by professional grading services at the highest levels, like MS68 or MS69, it can command impressive prices at auction. But beyond condition, error coins are where things get truly fascinating. A small mistake at the mint, like a double die strike, an off-center strike, or a misaligned die, can turn a regular nickel into a rarity that collectors are willing to pay thousands for. For the 2004 nickels, certain double die varieties, where the design elements appear slightly doubled due to a die misalignment during production, have been identified and are highly sought after. Other error examples include coins struck on the wrong planchet, coins with clipped planchets, or those with unusual die cracks or cuds. Because errors are by nature uncommon, their scarcity pushes their value far beyond the ordinary. It's worth mentioning that the Westward Journey nickels were a short-lived change in design before the return of Monticello on the reverse in 2006, which makes these coins a snapshot in history. People often don't realize how much symbolism is packed into them. The handshake on the piece metal design represents diplomacy and trust during America's expansion, while the keelboat reminds us of the courage and ingenuity of the Lewis and Clark expedition. That connection to American heritage adds a layer of appeal for collectors beyond the metal itself. Imagine searching through your spare change or opening an old jar of coins at home and spotting a 2004 Jefferson nickel. At first, it might not seem like anything special, but upon closer inspection, you realize it has the right mint mark, it's in pristine condition, or it displays one of those rare error features. Suddenly, a simple 5-cent piece could be your ticket to a serious payday. And yes, while most nickels from 2004 are only worth face value, the rarest examples have crossed into the world of astonishing prices. To put this into perspective, auctions have proven time and again that the coin market rewards rarity, demand, and condition. Collectors who specialize in Jefferson nickels, or in modern coinage in general, are always on the lookout for these standout pieces to complete their sets. And when the right coin comes along, whether it's a flawless mint state coin or a unique error, the bidding can reach heights that surprise even seasoned numismatists. The 2004 Jefferson nickel is a perfect example of how everyday coins can carry stories, history, and hidden treasures. It's not just a piece of metal, it's a connection to America's journey, a marker of design evolution, and for some lucky individuals, a key to a valuable discovery. So next time you get a handful of change back at the store, don't dismiss those nickels. Take a closer look, because you never know when you might find one of these special coins hiding in plain sight. Today we're diving deep into one such coin from the United States of America that has captured the attention of collectors and treasure hunters everywhere, the Jefferson nickel 5 cents from 1990 with its mint mark varieties. At first glance, it may seem like just an ordinary 5-cent piece, but with the right combination of condition, mint mark, and rarity, it could transform into a collector's dream find. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple in American coinage since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, and was originally introduced to honor the third U.S. President, Thomas Jefferson. The obverse features the left-facing profile of Jefferson, designed by artist Felix Schlag, and the reverse proudly displays his iconic home, Monticello, in Virginia. Over the years, this design has seen some minor adjustments, but the 1990 issue still carried that classic look that collectors know and love. Even though billions of nickels were minted during that year, not all nickels are created equal, and this is where the story gets interesting. When it comes to the 1990 Jefferson nickel, the mint mark plays a key role in its value. These coins were struck at multiple mints across the country, such as Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint produced its own variety, and while most ended up in circulation as everyday change, certain examples stood out due to rare minting errors, limited survival in pristine condition, or simply because of unusual characteristics that made them much scarcer than the rest. For coin collectors, spotting one of these gems means you're not just holding 5 cents, you're holding a potential treasure. Errors are one of the most fascinating aspects of coin collecting, and the 1990 Jefferson nickel has its fair share of them. Some nickels may show doubling on the date or lettering, which collectors call a double die. Others might display off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or weak strikes, where the design details didn't fully transfer to the coin. These types of mistakes, while accidental at the mint, end up making the coin more valuable because of their rarity. Collectors love uniqueness, and error coins provide exactly that. Another factor that determines value is the coin's condition. Most nickels in circulation get worn down from years of use, losing the sharpness of Jefferson's portrait and Monticello's details. However, coins that were carefully preserved in mint state, meaning they look almost exactly as they did when they left the mint, can be worth significantly more. A Jefferson nickel from 1990 with a high grade from professional grading services can fetch eye-popping prices at auction. In fact, the difference between a worn example and a high-grade uncirculated one could mean the difference between a coin worth a few cents and a coin worth thousands of dollars. Collectors also pay close attention to mint sets and proof coins. In 1990, the San Francisco Mint struck proof nickels with incredible detail and a mirror-like finish, specifically for collectors. These proof coins were never meant for circulation, so finding one in the wild would be a very unusual and exciting discovery. Some of these proofs, especially if they were preserved in flawless condition, are highly desirable. But what really sparks the excitement is when a regular business strike coin, something meant for everyday use, emerges with an extraordinary rarity or condition that sets it apart from the millions of others. The thrill of coin hunting is that anyone, anywhere, might stumble across one of these treasures. You don't need to be an expert or spend a fortune on rare coins to start. Sometimes, it's just a matter of looking closely at the change you already have. Imagine the surprise of someone paying for coffee with what they think is just a regular nickel, only to find out later that it was a valuable 1990 Jefferson nickel. That's what makes this hobby so fascinating, the idea that life-changing finds could be sitting right in your pocket right now. collectors around the world are constantly on the lookout for rare Jefferson nickels, and auctions have shown that these coins can sell for impressive amounts when rarity and condition align. From errors that set a coin apart to perfectly preserved mint state examples, the demand is there, and the prices reflect just how passionate collectors are about adding these pieces to their collections. So, the next time you come across a Jefferson nickel from 1990, take a closer look. Check the mint mark, examine the details, and see if it shows signs of rarity or error. Because while most nickels are only worth their face value of 5 cents, certain rare and special examples from this year have shocked collectors with their value. And here's the most exciting part: there has been a Jefferson nickel from 1990 that sold for an incredible amount. One such coin, in extraordinary condition and with the right characteristics, was valued at $86,000. Today, we are diving into the fascinating world of the United States of America Jefferson nickel, specifically the 5 cents coin from 1971 with its mint mark, a coin that might just be hiding in your change jar, your piggy bank, or even tucked away in a drawer, waiting to surprise you. The Jefferson nickel has been a part of American history since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, and it features the face of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and the man behind the Declaration of Independence. On the front, or obverse, of the coin, Jefferson's portrait proudly looks out, and on the reverse, you'll find his historic home, Monticello, a building that symbolizes Jefferson's vision and legacy. By the time 1971 came around, the nickel had already become a well-loved and recognizable part of American currency, used in everyday purchases, vending machines, and even payphones. But here's where things get interesting. Not every 1971 Jefferson nickel is created equal. While most of these coins were mass-produced in the billions, some carry unique features, errors, or minting variations that transform them from just 5 cents of metal into a treasure worth a small fortune. For collectors, these little details make all the difference. Think about it: during production, errors happen. Sometimes the dies used to strike the coins crack or wear down, leaving doubled images or strange marks. Other times, a coin might be struck off-center, leaving a noticeable blank section. In certain rare cases, the wrong planchet, or blank coin, is used, creating a coin that is completely different from what it was supposed to be. These mistakes don't just make a coin unusual, they make it rare, and rarity is exactly what drives collectors wild. The 1971 Jefferson nickel has been known to produce a number of fascinating varieties. Some examples include full steps on Monticello, which means the design on the reverse is so well struck that every single line of the steps leading to the mansion is visible. Collectors are obsessed with full steps nickels, because they are incredibly difficult to find, especially from this time period when striking quality was inconsistent. Another variety involves doubling, where letters or numbers appear twice due to die issues, and these doubled dies can multiply a coin's value instantly. Now, let's not forget about the mint mark. The location where the coin was struck, whether at Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, can also make a huge difference in value. A coin with a low mintage, or fewer coins produced at a certain mint, will naturally be harder to find and more valuable to collectors. So when you look closely at a 1971 Jefferson nickel, the small letter indicating the mint mark is not just a detail, it could be the key to unlocking its hidden fortune. Imagine rummaging through a jar of old coins, perhaps ones left behind by a parent or grandparent, and pulling out a nickel that looks no different from the others. At first glance, it seems ordinary, but upon closer inspection, you notice sharp details on Monticello, or maybe even doubling on the date or lettering. Suddenly, what you thought was just spare change reveals itself to be a rare gem. That's the thrill of coin collecting. It's like a treasure hunt where the prize could be right in your pocket. Stories like these aren't just myths, they're real. Time and again, collectors and everyday people alike have stumbled upon coins that turned out to be worth thousands of dollars. The 1971 Jefferson nickel may be one of those coins hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with a keen eye to discover its true value. So next time you come across a nickel from 1971, don't just pass it off as another coin. Look closely at the details. Check the mint mark, examine the steps on Monticello, and see if there are any signs of doubling or errors. That tiny piece of metal could hold a story far richer than you ever imagined, and here's the most incredible part. While most 1971 Jefferson nickels are only worth face value, certain rare examples in pristine condition, with unique minting features or rare varieties, have shocked collectors by reaching astonishing prices at auctions. In fact, one of these remarkable nickels has been valued as high as $90,000. In a jar of loose change, or passed across a counter without a second thought. Now, imagine learning that one of these very same coins, a Jefferson nickel from 1987, could be worth more money than most people would ever expect. That is the fascinating reality of coin collecting. What appears ordinary on the surface can sometimes hide extraordinary value, and today we're going deep into the story of the 1987 Jefferson nickel, a 5-cent coin from the United States of America, with mint marks that tell secrets, varieties that can stun collectors, and values that might just change the way you look at your change forever. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple of American currency since 1938. When it was first introduced, it replaced the famous Buffalo nickel, and it has carried the face of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and author of the Declaration of Independence, for decades. On the obverse, Jefferson's portrait stands proud, while the reverse of the coin displays his home, Monticello, a symbol of history, architecture, and Jefferson's legacy. By 1987, this coin had already been in circulation for nearly 50 years, and although billions of them were minted, the magic of coin collecting lies in the fact that not every coin is identical. Within those billions, there are always a few with mistakes, unusual qualities, or perfectly struck details that set them apart from the rest. Let's step into the world of the 1987 Jefferson nickel. At first glance, it may seem like any other 5-cent coin you've seen in your life, but to collectors, tiny details make all the difference. One of the first things collectors look for is the mint mark. The 1987 nickel was struck at different U.S. mints, and each mint mark, whether it's from Denver, Philadelphia, or San Francisco, can influence rarity and value. Some coins might have been struck with far fewer numbers, making them harder to find and therefore more desirable. Others may contain minting errors that make them stand out as unique treasures. Think of a coin press in action. These massive machines strike blanks of metal thousands of times an hour. With such speed, mistakes are inevitable. Sometimes a die becomes misaligned, and the design ends up off-center. Other times, the coin might be struck more than once, leaving behind doubling on the date or letters. There are even cases where the wrong planchet, or blank metal disc, was used, leading to nickels struck on different metals. Every one of these errors transforms an ordinary coin into a collector's prize. One feature that excites Jefferson nickel collectors in particular is the detail of Monticello on the reverse side. On most coins, the steps leading up to Monticello are worn, faint, or partially missing because of weak strikes. But when all of the steps are clearly visible, a condition known as full steps, collectors go crazy. Finding a 1987 Jefferson nickel in high grade with full steps is no easy task, and that is exactly what makes such coins extremely desirable. Imagine being someone who has a handful of coins lying around in a small jar. You pick out a nickel dated 1987, and at first, it looks like nothing more than 5 cents. But then you notice something unusual. The steps on Monticello are sharp, crisp, and complete. You hold it closer, and the details are perfect. Suddenly, you realize that this isn't just a coin to spend, it's a coin that could potentially fetch thousands of dollars at auction. This is what makes collecting so thrilling. It's like treasure hunting, except the treasure is hiding right in plain sight. The 1980s may not feel like ancient history, but coins from that decade are slowly becoming more and more collectible as time passes. Most people don't save coins from the 1980s because they assume they are too new to be valuable. But this is exactly why hunting through your change can be so exciting. You never know when you might be holding onto one of the rare survivors in pristine condition. Combine that with an error, a unique strike, or a desirable mint mark, and you've got yourself a coin worth far more than pocket change. What's fascinating is how much stories like these remind us that value doesn't just come from age. It comes from rarity, condition, and demand. The 1987 Jefferson nickel shows us that even relatively modern coins can command staggering prices when the right conditions are met. Collectors all over the world are constantly searching for these hidden gems, hoping to be the lucky ones to discover a rare treasure. So, the next time you come across a Jefferson nickel from 1987, don't dismiss it. Take a good look. Study the mint mark, check the steps on Monticello, and pay attention to any doubling or unusual features. That little coin could hold a story, a history, and a value you'd never expect. Today we're diving into one of the most overlooked treasures in American pocket change, the United States of America Jefferson nickel, specifically from the year 1985 with a mint mark. While millions of these coins were produced and spread across the country, certain unique details, conditions, and minting errors can make one of these nickels not just a 5-cent piece, but a life-changing discovery for anyone lucky enough to find one. The Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938, was designed to honor Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and author of the Declaration of Independence. On the obverse side of the coin, you'll see Jefferson's left-facing portrait, originally designed by Felix Schlag. The reverse showcases Jefferson's famous Virginia home, Monticello, which is still one of the most iconic and recognizable buildings in U.S. coinage. By the mid-1980s, the Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation for nearly half a century, and while many people no longer gave them a second thought, collectors knew that rare varieties, mint errors, and high-grade uncirculated versions were becoming increasingly desirable. Now, let's focus on the year 1985. The U.S. Mint produced these nickels at different facilities, and each coin carries a mint mark that identifies where it was struck: Denver with a D, Philadelphia with no mint mark at the time, and San Francisco with an S for proof coins. What makes the 1985 Jefferson nickel special isn't just its age, but rather the specific conditions and variations that occurred during its production. Some of these coins were struck with die errors, resulting in doubled features, misaligned designs, or unusual metal compositions that set them apart from ordinary nickels. Others, when preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition, have become prized by collectors willing to pay astonishing amounts at auction. Think about it, most people never even glance at their nickels. They spend them, trade them, or drop them into tip jars without realizing the possibility that one coin in their hand could be a hidden treasure. That's why coin collectors and enthusiasts are always reminding us to check our change carefully. A Jefferson nickel from 1985 with the right mint mark and in superb condition could be the difference between an everyday transaction and an extraordinary financial discovery. Collectors especially look for high-grade examples, graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC. These coins, when found in mint state or proof condition, can command incredible value. Add in the fact that certain 1,985 nickels contain errors, like double die obverse, repunched mint marks, or even off-center strikes, and you suddenly have a 5-cent coin that's worth thousands. These coins aren't just pieces of metal, they are artifacts of history, capturing a moment in time when minting technology and human error intersected to create something truly unique. So why do people pay so much for a coin that's technically worth only 5 cents? The answer lies in rarity, condition, and demand. A coin collector's passion drives them to hunt for the rarest examples, and when only a handful exist in a particular grade or error type, the value skyrockets. Imagine finding a coin in your change that most people would overlook, and then realizing it has the power to transform your life. That's the thrill and beauty of numismatics, the art of collecting coins. Over the years, stories have surfaced of people discovering rare Jefferson nickels tucked away in jars, old boxes, or even handed back as change at a store. These stories fuel the excitement of treasure hunting through everyday pocket change. And it's not just about money, it's about history, curiosity, and the joy of discovering something special hidden in plain sight. The 1985 Jefferson nickel with a mint mark has become one such coin, sparking curiosity among collectors and excitement among everyday people who hope they might stumble upon one themselves. So, the next time you receive a nickel, don't dismiss it as just another coin. Take a moment to look at the date, check the mint mark, and notice the condition. That little piece of change might be far more valuable than you think. Some 1985 Jefferson nickels, depending on rarity, errors, and grade, have shocked collectors and auction houses alike with the amount of money they can bring. And in one astonishing case, a Jefferson nickel from 1985 with a mint mark has been known to reach the value of $77,000.